I loves me some 1 degree of Chunky B.
Now, I just have to make a comment about Chunky B. Have you ever seen him looking so good?
The panel then includes actress Lady Kazan, comedian Chunky B, and Playboy TV host Julie Strain. Chunky?
What was the question? Can we just slow a roll for a second and just say thank you to the people that have been with us from the get-go? Hey, everybody, you know it's me, Chunky B, in the Garage of Love. 1 degree of Chunky B.
That's chunkyb.tv, folks.
Chunkyb.tv. Come on in. Say hello. Don't be shy. We have a couch. We've got a TV. We've got dimmers. And before I go any further about the dimmers on the lights, say hello to the executive producer of Love. What an extraordinary, fine-looking man. He goes by the name of Gary Adler.
Thanks, Chunk. Thanks. That was electric.
Are we coming in kind of subdued?
No, I'm good. I'm totally good. But I want to tell the folks at home, which we haven't done in a few weeks, if you're going shopping, and I don't know what the next holiday is.
Summer, buddy. Summer.
So if you're going shopping for that summer, those summer pools, and like your kids wear the arm floaties, Andy.
Inflatable stuff.
Yep. If you're going to do that, you want to go to Amazon. You want to go to our website. That's chunkyb.tv. Hit the Amazon button.
And you get a great deal, and we get a little slice of the action.
That's
to
right.
Put it right back into the show.
That's right, and it doesn't cost you a dime.
But wait, I use Amazon Prime.
Well, that'll work there too,
It
Andy.
does. Okay,
It does.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
But
and
wait,
by the way,
I shop on my iPhone. Can I do it on my iPhone?
you can do it on the iPhone as well,
Okay.
or on your Samsung, or anything else you got.
Real quick, can we do the mating call for Andy just so I can feel it?
Let's
One,
do it.
2, 3.
Andy.
Nice.
The manimal.
That worked for me. You're gonna have to apologize.
You got new glasses.
I did, and I'm the only shot that's on right now.
Really?
It's just me the whole time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's some stellar directing, bro.
We would never know until
No, we
4
wouldn't know.
days from now.
Yeah, Travis will get it and be like, this.
Hey,
Oh,
speaking
by
of
the
Travis,
way, yeah, go for it.
Hey, Travis, the Wizard of the Knobs, always give love to you and your gal out in the desert. Come home soon, buddy. Come home. We've got a couch. It's down the block and it's outside by the dumpster, but we have a couch.
We still have the other half of that sandwich.
That's
About 6 months ago.
How about Karen McCoy? Thanks for tuning in. How about
Bart the Bear.
DeBear?
Yeah.
You are the man, DeBear. Keep up the love, and yes, next time you get your dentist trip, I'm taking you out to lunch. And Mary Kay, I know you love country. We've got a little something, maybe not up your alley, coming up right now, but stick around and listen to us. Ben Dukes, wherever you are, just
Ben
rocking the
Dukes.
stage. You remember Ben? Let's have
Hell
him
yeah.
back too. He is a MF cowboy.
He picked up the guitar and played.
And you see that? Do you see that hair? The facial hair?
Yeah.
His facial hair can eat like a small family.
He's past the hipster starter kit now. He's moved into the intermediary area.
And he's sexy. You can tell he works out. Hey, let's talk about something that means the world to us. Venice Duck. We don't get a chance to talk about it as much as we should. You guys, John Henry Binder, Christian Warren, you guys are busting your hump. I see you on Facebook. You're promoting. Your company is growing. It's just as delicious as ever.
Yeah, and I'll just say this right now. Please drop us off some more.
Yeah, we're due.
You know what I mean? We are due.
We're really, really due.
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually had any in a long time.
Is that right? All right, come on, boys.
Okay, check this out, people. Hello again. Chunky B in the Garage of Love. You have picked a great day to continue your success on living. Because if you were not living right now, you were going to miss this pocket of love that we're going to present tonight on a certain scene in Los Angeles, a music era. But before I go any further, I'm going to say hello to you again, you sexy individual.
Thank you, Chunky B.
Say hello to Gary Adler.
Yeah, and I want to say hi to the folks in Raleigh, North Carolina, WKRP.
Gotta love those
They
people.
keep tuning in, and I don't know why.
I'll tell you why. They're good people.
Okay.
Hey, you people, at in Raleigh, North Carolina, we dig you. We love you, and we want to entertain you.
Yeah.
Give us some feedback. Let us know how the ribs are going.
Yeah.
Slow cook that stuff so we can enjoy it too.
Send it to us.
Right? Oh, wouldn't that be great? If
Hell
we have
yeah.
a listener sending it to us. If you go to our website and you hey, listen, we're going to send you a rack, we'll make that happen. And we'll send you something. We'll get you something.
We'll send you Andy.
I'll come pick it up.
Yeah, you
We'll go pick it up.
First
Yeah.
class all
Yeah.
the way.
Totally.
So hit that Amazon button, people. We
DP.
got to pay for this shit.
And what about our love to DP?
Yeah,
Okay.
DP McIntyre.
Yeah, you guys, you're coming around
I don't know
strong.
why I did this. I hate when people do that.
No, it's all about
Can
the
we
love.
edit that?
You just did.
Can we?
No, we're gonna put that in.
right.
Hey, dude,
Delete.
keep up the good work. Take care of your family. You're rocking, and you're the reason why we're loving Raleigh. Guys, there was a pocket of time. Do you mind?
No, go take it away.
There was a pocket of time in Los Angeles, and some of you kids that are people that tune in. You may not even been alive, but there was a pocket of time when I was just hitting the LA scene. This stuff was going down.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best. I promised my kids I wouldn't swear as much, but F it. No. But anyway, Los Angeles, Hollywood. There was a music scene that it's not around as much anymore, but it's called cowpunk.
It's called rock and roll.
It's a version of.
Seriously.
And there was a band out there with traction. And everyone was starting to notice.
Yeah.
And the name of that band, Lone Justice.
That's right.
And the lead dude that put that band together is to my immediate right. Please give it up for Ryan Hedgecock.
Nice. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Man, what an honor it is to have you in the Garage of Love.
Chunky.
We have just become friends not long ago through a mutual friends,
Yes.
Dennis and Leslie.
Yes, correct.
And before you know it, I'm next. We're not even hanging in my yard. Ryan and I are next door neighbors, sitting around the hot tub shooting the stuff, and I'm like, wait a second, you're the dude from Lone Justice?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. I go, you were right smack in the middle of all that chaos, and up and down Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
And you guys were a name, and we're gonna figure out this stuff right now. I'm talking too much.
No, you're not. Keep talking, babe.
Hey, Ryan, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did some research, and I normally don't like to do a lot of research on our guests because it just feels more orgasmic or organic,
It
whatever.
feels
however.
intrusive to know what you're talking about.
but I'm going to give you a quick little outline for our viewers,
Sure.
and then I want you to fill in the blanks. Not the
got it.
blanks, but the spots. Okay, that scene was coming about.
Right.
That cowpunk thing.
Let's talk about what year we're in.
82-ish, I'm guessing.
Yeah, 81, 82.
Okay.
That's when it started.
Okay, and then it was rock and roll. It was a fast pace lifestyle, and it was growing. And then you teamed up with a gal. We'll talk about her in a second. And then all of a sudden, you were getting noticed by big artists. Tom Petty noticed you guys. Dylan noticed you guys. And then you started going the road for U2.
Yeah. Open for you too, yeah.
That's crazy talk. Fill in the blanks. Tell me how you met McKee.
Maria. Yeah.
Maria
Yeah,
McKee.
Maria.
You guys were the backbone of the band.
Yeah, I mean, actually,
Talk.
I'll tell you. Essentially, this is how it went down. The punk scene took off in LA. It was, great fun, great energy. For me, I grew up here. I grew up in the South Bay. The songs did not work for me. The punk had great energy, but I wasn't really crazy about any of the artists. I didn't really hear the songs until X came along. And X, they started to play, and all of a sudden there was something really that you could grab onto. The whole punk scene started in some underground clubs called The Mask here. And these were like, it would move from one place to another, The Mask. Eventually, it was like the X played there, the Germs, a lot of groups. Yeah, the Bags were there. Some of them went over to hotel. Yeah, of course he knows.
Andy
He's been
knows
here.
all of that.
Great.
Yeah.
This is my
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
guys.
right on.
Is it
man.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Andy,
Tell
jump
Okay,
in
please
with me.
participate.
Oh,
Normally you get
yeah.
shy. If something pops up, please, Andy.
Can I use the 4 cameras now finally?
Yes.
Can we call you Baba? Can we call you Baba Booey?
Put yourself
Yeah.
in.
Put the quad split
Yeah,
up.
absolutely.
All right,
Okay,
here we
continue, Ryan.
So this was a great scene. And what happened at the Mask was this weird group from England, these rockabilly kids, Levi and the Rockettes. They started to play at the Mask too, and they were super high energy, dressed up, tattooed in 1980. Like, you didn't see anybody with tattoos at that point. And Levi, he ended up getting on the Merv Griffin show. Now, this started at the Mask, but now he's on the Merv Griffin show. And what happened, it was kind of like, it was like an earthquake that happened out in the suburbs. Somehow, that rockabilly kind of spoke to a lot of us people that were natives. There was something about that worked for us. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden here, nowhere else, rockabilly bands started to happen. There was the first one was a group called Jimmy and the Mustangs. They happened down in Orange County, and a lot of stuff happened in Orange County. And then there was a second wave, and I was part of that second wave. I had a band called Bedrock. But around this same time, this group called the Blasters came up. Mm-hmm. And the Blasters were like, they took what Levi was doing and they made it American.
That's with Billy
Zoom, the Alvin Brothers. Yeah. I mean, when these guys, like, I watched them, I saw them open at a church in Santa Monica for Levi and the Rockettes. They opened for them. And when they were on, it was like, I didn't even want to see Levi after that. It was like, these guys blew my fucking mind. I mean, they were amazing. They were so strong. And they were, like, not pretty. It was like watching Garage Mechanics. I mean, they rocked so hard. And they did American music. It was like, it had a rockabilly tinge. But out of that kind of started, that was like the beginning of this rockabilly scene. And I was part of it. But after doing it for a little while, and there was a lot of groups down in Orange County, some here in the Valley. After a while, after doing it for a little while, it felt a little too much like Sha Na Na for me. There's too many. You had to have the hair. You had to have the clothes.
And did you have all that?
Oh, dude, come on, man. I had the hair.
I saw some
had the
photos.
Pompadour. Yeah, I had the whole thing. I had the car, 1955 Mercury Monterey.
Really?
Nice car. Nice.
So you're all up in it.
I was way in it.
Awesome.
Me and my girlfriend had the blonde girlfriend. We danced, swing dance. I mean, I was totally into it.
At this time, was it enough to be committed to it and not have another job?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. It's music, you know. And I was lucky enough to start playing in some clubs up in Hollywood with my first band. But after doing it for about a year, I kind of saw it was like, at that point as a musician, I kind of obsessed. Like, I got into Led Zeppelin. I got into them when I was 13 or 14, and I plowed through them. By the time I was like 15, I didn't want to hear them anymore. I became a Deadhead. I was the same way, 2 years into the Dead hardcore. So the same thing happened with rockabilly. I went deep into it. Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran, you know, Elvis Presley, Sun Sessions, Billy Lee Riley, like boom, boom. I was totally into it. And after I kind of got through it, I kind of realized it wasn't giving me everything that I wanted to emotionally.
Do you mind if I jump in and ask questions just so I get the visual?
Yeah.
So when you're on stage doing this thing with Lone Justice, how many people in the house?
Well, in the beginning, it was like any band, not too many.
Right. So
not too many.
15, 20?
Yeah, in the beginning. I mean, we played some acoustic places. After the Mask, the next hip club was a place called Cathay de Grand, and it was in the bottom of a Chinese restaurant.
But this wasn't Lone Justice yet.
No, this is not Lone
Still
Justice.
Bedrock.
Right.
Yeah, this is the beginning. This is what it came out of.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, what happened was
Good point.
Yeah.
I was getting ahead of this. I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adler.
You're
executive
welcome.
producer of Love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's keeping everything straight.
They don't pay me nothing for nothing.
That's
I'm just like he was paying attention.
yeah. He
Okay.
is.
So all right. You're setting the table. Keep
All right,
going.
so I'm setting it up here for you. So I got to with Bedrock, I got to a point where it wasn't really working with me. And then what happened, my girlfriend, who I was madly in love with, my first love, she just broke my heart. And I started listening to George Jones. But at the same time, I'm going to see The Clash. I'm going to see all this stuff. But I'm like digging George Jones. And I'm listening to George Jones. And I'm hearing like in his early stuff like rockabilly. And a group called Rank and File came out. And they were the Dills. They were a punk band, part of the Dills and the Nuns out of San Francisco. And they were doing like this kind of Johnny Cash stuff. And seeing the Blasters, I kind of felt like that I had the freedom now to kind of explore this hardcore kind of country. And I didn't really see the difference between George Jones and Hank Williams and like John Doe. To me, they all kind of felt like they were the same. So that's what I started to focus on. So now I'll answer your question. So I was done with Bedrock. That was my first band. There was a place way out in Orange County called Angelo's. It was a drive-in, and the rockabilly kids would go out there in their cars. They have the stand-up basses. We'd all get there, and it was, they'd have the waitresses on roller skates. It was a total
Scene out of a flick.
Yeah, right. It's American Graffiti.
Right.
And we'd be there all dressed up like the 50s, and we'd be singing our songs. One night I heard this girl, and I was like, wow, she's got a good voice. And so I got her phone number, and I called her up, and that was Maria. That was the first time. And I went over to her house to kind of...
She's young.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I was like, maybe I was 21 at the time. She was maybe 17, maybe 18,
Wow.
Her brother, I didn't know at the time, her brother was a guy named Brian McLean who was in a group called Love.
Right.
So he was hanging out there, too. And...
He wrote a couple hits.
a couple. I mean...
Don't get confused with Don McLean.
Yeah,
No,
American
no,
Pie
Love.
here.
Yeah.
No American Pie.
Okay.
Yeah, Alone Again or. Brian's a super talent. And so I just started to hang out with Maria. And originally, she wanted to do a rockabilly band, and I said, I'm not interested at all. This is what I want to do. I want to go after this country thing and fuse this together. And so we just started to work. And Brian would kind of chime in every once in a while. Brian would say, you ever heard of Rose Maddox? I'm like, Maddox Brothers and Rose? And I'm like, what the hell is that? So he was like, and Brian, he had been the roadie for the Byrds and had hung out with the Byrds, and then he went on to be with Love, and he was well versed in all kinds of great music, and he really understood what I didn't even know then at that point was what we were tapping into was indigenous Los Angeles music. I mean, that's what the whole rockabilly thing did. It kind of sparked us, and we tapped into what the indigenous music of Los Angeles is. Because if you think about LA, there's some weird stuff that happens here. Like in the 1930s, we had a band that was as big as the Beatles here. Massive. Sons of the Pioneers. Now, you think, who are the Sons of the Pioneers? Every Marty Robbins record, all those Gunfighters things, he's taken Sons of the Pioneers songs. Willie Nelson's first. I mean, we're looking at a 30-year range, just like the Beatles. Sons of the Pioneers, they invented the term Western music. Like it used to be country Western, and the Sons of the Pioneers were the ones that did Western. There's a guy named Bob Nolan. There's another guy named Leon Sly. Sometime in the 30s, Roy Rogers went on strike, and with I think Republic Pictures. He said he's not making any more. He wanted more money, and they said, we're gonna get somebody else to do. And they did an open casting call, and they got one of the Sons of the Pioneers, the guy Leon Sly. They're like, dude, we love you. You're gonna be our guy, but we hate your name. We hate your name. So we're gonna change it to Roy Rogers. So that's
Really?
who Roy Rogers is. Roy Rogers comes from the Sons of the
I was
Pioneers.
wondering where you were going with this. You were starting to lose me, but bringing it home
Yeah,
with
man.
Roy Rogers.
Thank you, baby.
It goes
Thank
back
you.
to when all this was, cattle and ranching
And like,
for the
I was
most
born
part.
I was born here. I was born in 61. I remember it. It's like, it resonates in my head. Like I remember going to Chatsworth Park in the 60s, and Roy Rogers owned the whole thing.
Yeah.
He owned all up into Chatsworth, all that stuff. That Western influence was still here, but rock and roll had kind of pushed it out. But you think about LA and you think about rock and roll. What happens in LA to rock and roll? You got the Byrds, you got this whole rock scene, the Seeds and all this stuff. It gives birth to the Byrds go country. Chris Hillman comes from a country band. You get the Eagles. Where does Graham Parsons move? Graham Parsons doesn't go to Nashville from Florida. He comes to LA. LA has this in it, And then you go into the punk scene. What could be farther from country than punk?
Right.
And so who was calling me with Lone Justice when I was opening up at the Palomino? Dwight Yoakam calling me all the time. All of a sudden, Los Angeles becomes the hotbed for this other type of country music. And my theory is this, essentially. They called it country western back then. In the 70s, they called it outlaw. They call it alt country. Whatever it is, there's always a cutting edge, a leading edge of country music that is avant-garde. And then there's Nashville, which is kind of the pop stuff, the
Right.
Taylor Swift type stuff. So, essentially that's what Los Angeles is, and that's what we did as Lone Justice. We kind of tapped into that, and things kind of started to explode for us. Me and Maria, we first started off and just a few people coming to see us.
Right.
And I was like, okay, we suck. We need help. And
Now,
I just kept bringing in people.
Looking back on it, do you think you were before the time, right in the pocket of the perfect time to grow?
No,
or past?
No, ahead.
You were ahead of the time.
Yeah. No, I mean, they didn't. We signed with
Nobody got
Geffen.
it.
Yeah, Geffen, they didn't get us. They didn't understand what they were dealing with.
Well, there was a core of popular musicians that did get it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You got Dwight calling you.
Oh, yeah.
And
But
then-
Dwight hadn't even made a record at this point. People were just, people were just digging it.
Okay.
I mean, it was an offshoot of the punk thing. Like the punk thing part of it went hardcore, like Black Flag, but another part went roots, and that's kind of what the Blasters did. You chime in,
Right. I absolutely.
You all right?
No,
I'm laying it down here.
Well, no, but there was also a part where I think you have people like Cowboy Junkies. It was other nations contributing to this too.
Right.
So it wasn't just they're Canadian. So I mean, for them to tap that in the '90s, it's still going on now. You got like the Wilco and that sort of country rock that's made its way into the culture. But
Yep.
you're not gonna hear Wilco on K-Rock anymore.
No.
Right, but he's even talking about even before the '90s. You're
Yeah.
talking still mid '80s, right?
Oh, yeah,
Early
yeah,
80s,
early
yeah.
80s,
Yeah,
yeah.
so they were
Okay,
way ahead
continue.
of it.
Continue.
Well, where was I?
Well, we
you
just
and Maria.
met Maria.
Yeah. So
And by the way, she's a badass. Right?
Oh,
Am I right?
listen, that
like,
girl
she-
could sing.
Oh,
she
she's
could
the
sing.
best.
And she could write.
Oh yeah. Well, not when we started. Now, when we started, I mean, we were both neophytes. I mean, it was my second band, and it was really her first band. She had sung in her brother's band, so I wrote a couple of songs in the beginning. We started to go. I saw the trajectory of what the band was doing, and I knew it was gonna be over because it wasn't going well. I needed somebody to come in and teach me the craft of writing. Like, I wasn't a natural writer. We needed that. I needed that.
Well, let's get back to Maria for a second
Yeah.
because I just saw the look you gave the whole show here, and I know you got a question or a thought. Can I guess what it is?
What is it?
First of all, are you still in touch with Maria?
I'd love to talk to her.
Would she talk to you?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, it turns out we have her on line one. No, we would not freak you
And
out.
online
I
too.
love it.
Wait, she's on my phone too. She's texting me about this.
I just
So
got texted.
Ladies and
by her.
gentlemen,
There she goes.
I haven't heard from her.
We got to give that one to the crab feast.
yes, we do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Crab Feast. Yeah, we'll constantly use that and abuse it.
So, okay, did you guys hook up? Did you guys end up?
Oh no.
Did you ever do that? Okay, so it was still professional.
Oh, always professional. With it.
Okay, so you were going in on this project knowing that you were thinking it was doomed from the get-go?
Oh no. We started it, and it was just like anything. I could see the trajectory. Like, I knew what I wanted to put out there, and I saw where it was going, and it wasn't going into the right place. Now, I cut back a couple years. There was a guy named Marvin Etzioni who was in a band called The Model, and they were like a local band. And he worked at a place called Aaron's, which was like the record shop. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was on Melrose, right by Fairfax High. It was like a great record shop. I knew Marvin from then, and I always respected Marvin as a songwriter. So when I got to a certain point where I knew that Maria and I weren't, delivering the goods as songwriters, me and Marvin, our paths crossed, and I kind of brought him in. And eventually he became part of the band, but helped us as writers. And Maria just like took off. She was great. She really had it. I mean, it was a struggle for me. Like, I got it and I had to really work at it, but Maria was a natural. She was a natural singer, everything, and she loved to be on stage. And I liked it. I liked being on stage, but I didn't need it. She thrived out there, so I pushed her out there. And she started to write great songs. Marvin came in. He was a massive help to us. He really understood the craft and really, I brought him in. I mean, we had a lot of great stories.
But they call him like he's an arranger or something, right? Would you call
Well,
him
I mean,
that?
he produced some demos for us for
Right.
Geffen, and then eventually our bass player left, and we had a tour open for this group Rank and File that we loved, and so Marvin, he knew the songs better than anyone else, so he joined the band, and we did a little tour in my Toyota truck. I had a Toyota truck with a cab. We had a trailer behind us, and we drove all the way up to Oregon, all the way back.
Wow.
Booking your own gigs.
Oh
just,
yeah,
you
no,
know,
we
the
were
Hungry
opening.
Band.
We were opening for Rank and File. I mean, we're making $100.
oh.
We're making $100 a night. We're trying to like put the gas, eat pizza, pay for hotel rooms. 5 people in a hotel
Oh
room.
my God.
Okay,
Yeah,
now were you getting a
hardcore.
response on
Best
the road?
time of your
Was
life.
At
it-
that point, yeah. Now at this point, Marvin, like, what had happened is, I knew at a certain point that we needed juice, and it was hard to kind of get above the masses in LA. And I loved Rank and File. I thought that they were great. And I knew that every time that they came to LA, it was a scene. Like, you couldn't even get there. But I looked at the paper once. I saw they were playing up in Santa Barbara. So I said to Maria, "Come on, let's go on up there." So we jumped in my car and we drove up to Santa Barbara. We watched them do their sound check, and when they were done, I grabbed my guitar and I grabbed her, and we walked into the backstage. I said, "Hey guys, I'm Ryan. This is Maria," and we played them a song. And they flipped over her and they said, you know what, we're opening for the Blasters
Oh, Jesus, there you go.
at the Universal Amphitheater. Like in a month, we want you to come up and sing a song with us.
Oh, geez.
There it is.
And I'm like, perfect. So Maria goes up. While she's doing that, we got a month to get it together. I'm telling Marvin, you got to get us in great shape. So we're just woodshedding super hard, trying to get our sound great. When she's up there on stage singing at the Universal Amphitheater, me and Marvin are out in the parking lot putting flyers on cars for a show that's coming up the next week. And that was really how the band started. That's when we got to that next level. Marvin had honed us. He came in, he did what helped us with the songs, helped us with, everything. He had a real, like a showbiz vibe to him. It really helped a lot.
Exciting times for you.
Oh my God, what a blast.
And Maria's on board.
Oh, on board and on fire.
But was there any telltale signs? Were you partying too much?
No. Maria's a born again Christian. There was not a whole lot of partying going on.
Back then she was?
Oh yeah, big time.
Wow.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
That kind of,
interesting.
yeah.
And not me.
That throws me for a loop.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, sure.
So now you're starting to get the. Oh, I'm
It's
sorry, Andy.
exactly. No, I'm just going to say it's exactly why their album was allowed to be played in my high school, a private Christian high school in Fresno,
Because of her.
Boom.
along with U2,
Right.
along with The Alarm.
Exactly.
Pat Boone.
And kids like me, Pat Boone, would love that guy. No, but kids like me, we weren't allowed to. It was like Footloose.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to dance because we're hosted by Mennonite churches and such.
Oh my goodness.
So we
Repression.
we would try and squeeze in every bit of music.
But
we
that's
could
why
find.
this became popular, because of repressed people.
Yeah. you were for the cause. You were fighting the cause.
Well, and,
Okay, so
and,
this
she,
is-
and she was hot to look at that
Oh,
album.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
she's
she's
beautiful.
so
She's a
good.
beautiful and such a great singer.
Okay, so now things are grooving,
Yeah, things are grooving.
and
now.
how? Tell me the next steps, because I don't want to jump ahead. What happens? Okay, you got that groove going.
We got the group going. We got a little bit of interest from Geffen. We did some demos. They got turned down. That was when that live show happened. That's when we did the live tour. Right after that, like we had done that show at the Universal Amphitheater a few months earlier. I mean, this all happened within.
Right.
I mean, when I look at the time frame now, it was like maybe a year and a half. All
Wow.
of this stuff went down. I mean, and it was my first band. Like I was so green, like we got management, maybe not the best management, it was like, and things like at that point, things started to head a little south. Like the management came out of Texas. It was this woman, she really started to blow smoke up Maria's ass, really started to make things, and things at that point started to get a little fuzzy, what was happening. But we were still like on fire as a band.
Was it before or after your album? Did you have your album out yet?
By the time the album was out, the band was over.
Really?
Oh yeah. By the time the album was out, the band was in complete crisis. And we did pull it off. I mean, we did come back together. But at this point, we were in the grips of Jimmy Iovine. And I had been in basically...
Who's that guy?
Jimmy Iovine.
That was her manager, right?
Who's
that?
Yeah. So Jimmy, he started in the 70s. He mixed, I think, Born to Run. That was his thing. He did Patti Smith, Easter, Tom Petty.
He wanted her to be the next Bruce Springsteen.
No, he wanted her to be the next Stevie Nicks. That's what he was
There you
looking
go.
for.
Fair
Like
enough.
when I looked at Jimmy, I'm thinking about Easter from Patti Smith. I'm thinking about Down the Torpedoes. But he's thinking more Belladonna.
Okay.
And me and Jimmy had two different ideas of what we wanted this band to be. And it was head to head. I mean, I went head to head with him and he broke me. And it took me, I'm going to tell you, 25 years to recover. It took me a long time.
The
to
stars
just
did not
figure it out.
align.
No, the stars did.
Right,
the
but
star-
that's what it takes in this town. right?
Absolutely.
So what's that guy doing now?
Well, he's up at Apple. I think he runs Apple Music.
Was he a janitor? Or is he,
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
running
like-
the place over there?
Like he's the guy who put YouTube on your iPhone.
Oh, great. Man.
Really?
Yeah.
Just a little-
Do you think back? Maybe you should have just listened to him.
Absolutely not.
No. Okay. All right. Good answer.
That's rock and roll, people.
That's rock and roll.
That's rock and roll.
I
You
should
can't
have
box Ryan in.
I should have told him to take a long walk on a short pier.
What I think, and I was always friends with some bands in Venice and in L.A. that almost made it. But you guys put out an album. The critics loved it. Even the guys from Rolling Stone put it in like his top 25 best albums ever.
By the way, he just talked about somebody else blowing the headliner off the stage, and they did the same thing several times, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Well, who?
What was it? I heard something about that too.
I can't remember. It was at the whiskey or the...
Oh yeah, and the headliners only played 2 songs
Yeah,
to get
that's
off the
right.
stage. You got to look up on the internet.
Who was that? Yeah.
Dude,
some things are fuzzy for me. All
You
right?
need to
It's been a long
Google
time.
yourself.
Yeah.
Go home tonight and Google
who's
yourself.
David Vaught?
Well, David Vaught was an engineer. He was a friend of our drummers. We had originally the band started with guys from Bedrock. So it was me and Maria and a guy named Don Willens, who was a drummer, and another guy named David Harrington. Some changes happened. Harrington left. Don Willens left. We eventually got a guy named Don Heffington. He was with us. He started with us, I think, in like late 82, 83. Heffington had a friend named David Vaught. David Vaught had a studio. So in the middle of like when we had Don Heffington, I mean, we lifted him from Emmylou Harris's band.
He's a drummer,
Yeah,
right?
he's a drummer.
Okay.
He came from Emmylou Harris's band. It was like the first time I played with Don Heffington. It was like leaning against a brick wall. Like I had never felt that before with a drummer. It was so solid. And we were loving it. We had recorded a few demos here and there. We still weren't signed. And we decided to go into Vaught's studio. He had a little studio and just set up live and just record our live set. No overdubs, everything live. You know, we didn't fix anything. We recorded 3 or 4 times. That was it. Move on to the next song. Live to 2-track. So we did that with Vaught, and around this same time we started to work with Geffen, and we gave Geffen those tapes that we did, and they listened to it and they said, this is never coming out, and got rid of it. So those things sat with Marvin for 25 years until eventually this company, Omnivore, heard him and decided to put him out. And so about 2 years ago, we got the chance to put these, live. And this is essentially, for me, this was, it was a full circle. Because this represents exactly what my vision of the band was. This is when we were all working unpolluted by Geffen, unpolluted by Jimmy. Jimmy had not been working on this. Like the first record really represents my vision and what Jimmy thought it should be.
Okay.
But Vaught Tapes is exactly what we were doing, what was setting the clubs on fire in LA. And we got a chance to put those out, and amazing response. We got asked to play Coachella.
Really?
They wanted us to go play the Grammy Museum. Had to turn it all down. Maria wasn't interested.
Really?
Yeah, ouch. Yeah. One of many guys.
But when you made that album, what year was that?
That
It was called
83.
Shelter?
Oh, Shelter? No. That was it. That was the end. Shelter, after the band didn't I left. When Shelter came out, I left the band. I was gone. Lone Justice came out. I think that came out in 85. The Vaught tapes were recorded in 83, but they didn't come out until last year.
Wow. So there was a chance for everything getting back together 2 years ago, and Maria said no.
Yeah.
So that sort of poppy angle that was on the records, was that Jimmy Ivy?
All Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy brought in.
It's too bad because she's so raw. Like I saw her on an interview where she just picked up a guitar and started playing, and I was like, fuck,
she's
me,
on fire.
man.
Yeah, she's on
Unbelievable.
fire. Yeah.
And that was insane music. And then the stuff on the albums was a little Hollywood came in.
Yeah,
there,
like to me, it's half and half. That record's half and half. Like half of it, like he brought in Little Steven. It's like, Little Steven with the schmata and everything. It's like, come on, it's like, what does this guy have to do with cowpunk? And like Jimmy Ivy, and he had no idea. He's like, Merle who? I'm like, Merle Haggard. He had no idea who any of this stuff was.
Where was your head? I don't know. I may have taken it, I may have stepped back and said, okay, let me just see where this ride is going. But you had that album come out, and it was done even before the album was released. You didn't have the patience to sit there and say, let me see where this goes and grab somebody's coattails? You were that, thick-headed with your vision?
Oh, no. I mean, I was basically, the way that the whole thing went down is, originally it was me and Maria, we would sing duets. And I'd push her to the front, she'd sing a few songs, I'd sing a few songs. Eventually, I started to play more guitar. I pushed her to the front more. We'd sing a couple of duets. I might sing 1 or 2 songs, but she was great on stage. So I pushed her to the front. The whole vibe was, from management, from everyone's like, listen, we've got all this great energy with Maria. Just hang tight. That second record, this is when we're going to show the band. By the time the second record comes, we're going to show the band. You know, you're more like a Hank Williams. You know, you're gonna shine on that second record. There'll be more. That was all bullshit.
Right.
Never. You know, I mean, that was I should have seen it coming. But you know, I'm a kid from Torrance at that point. You know, I had no idea, and I was in with some of the heaviest hitters, and I had nobody.
Okay, now after the album, I mean, did you all get a piece of that? Did you? Yeah, a piece financially.
Yeah, but
Piece of the day.
I mean, you know, the way that it works with a record is
Right,
like
but-
anything else.
Right. So
You sell enough records.
you didn't get to buy a fancy car.
Absolutely not.
No. Okay.
No. I got $500 a week.
All right.
Andy's like, man, I got to get in the music business.
Yeah, if you're looking for a career, Andy.
Hey, you guys, Chunky B. 1 degree of Chunky B in the Garage of Love, and you know if you want to get your quack on, you go to Venice Duck. And I'm not even kidding. This is a good beer. Tell your friends. Don't be afraid to get your quack on. Dude, this is actually a really good beer.
It's fucking great beer.
You're so lucky.
Oh shit, I'm still recording.
Hey, you guys, music provided by Play Up Music. That's playupmusic.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Hedgecock, and you're tuned in to 1 Degree of Chunky B. Right on, guys.
Black is the night that holds you down. Black is the night that holds you down.
What were the rumors about Dylan?
Well, there were no rumors about Dylan.
Well, tell
I
me
mean,
that
basically,
story.
what happened is when we signed with Geffen, there were 2 compromises that I was ready to make. One of it was Geffen didn't think that we could write a hit song. They knew that we had some songs, and you know, I felt that we had songs that could be hits, but Geffen felt they were afraid. So they said, okay, you have to record 1 song by one of these artists: Petty, Springsteen, or Dylan. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I can do that. And the other thing that they wanted us to do was play with Ben Montench, who was the keyboard player with Petty. So to me, these were all great things. I mean, Ben Mont is an amazing player. He came in, he changed the band. He was amazing. And, you know, we had Tom Petty come down, show us some songs, play us some songs. I got to go backstage and meet Springsteen on the first night of the Born in the USA tour. He gave us a couple of songs that he wanted. Our A&R person at the time, a woman named Carol Childs that worked at Geffen, she was hanging out with Dylan. She got Dylan to write us a song. So I'm like one of the only bands that had Dylan write a song. Go away, little boy. That's it ain't for him. So Dylan
wrote you a song.
Yeah, so
dude.
Dylan wrote us a song. So we're in the studio. I mean, this is such an intense story. I mean, we're in the studio, the power station, where amazing records have been made, and all of a sudden, elevator opens up. Bob Dylan walks in. He's got 2 girls with him, and he comes in and he shows us his song. But you know, Dylan's showing you a song. You know, I mean, he was facing the wall, playing the guitar into the wall. Like Ben Mont's looking over. Okay, it's a D minor. Okay, it's, you know. And we finally figured it out that way. But you know, one of the things I did in the band, one of the things that I thought was like the recipe for success, which bit me in the ass eventually, was I didn't want anyone in the band who was better, that was worse than me. Like I had to be the weakest link. So everybody else had to be better.
Yeah, that's not good for job security.
Yeah, totally. And it didn't work there with Dylan. After playing with Dylan a little bit, I get thrown out. I get thrown out of the studio. Dylan's like, get rid of him, which was heartbreaking. I mean, I was brutalized.
Wait.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We need to back up.
Yeah.
Take us through that session.
Oh my God.
One note at a time, please.
Yeah, right.
Come on, let's revisit this horrible embarrassment.
Let's
in your
reenact
career.
this thing.
Yeah, but there's, you want me crying, right?
Give us emotion. Come on, Ryan. Give us emotion.
Absolutely.
I'll tap into something
Oh,
here.
my God.
Yeah, no, so he's showing it to us, and we're working it out. But
You're like, I should have picked Petty.
yeah. Easier. He wouldn't have all those weird chords either.
No. Stay on track here. We want to hear this.
So, you know, we started to figure it out. But at this point, as a player, like I would I'd learn something, and then I would take it home, and I would woodshed it, and I'd find my footing with it, and then I was good. But I didn't have that chance. Like, Dylan's, used to playing with Mick Taylor, Mark Knopfler. It's like, no, not Ryan Hedgecock. So after playing with him a little bit, all of a sudden there's just like this talk going on. And, you can see something's up. And talking back in the studio room, there's talk with Dylan, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, Ryan, can you come on back here?
Oh, no.
And so...
Not over the essay, not over the loudspeaker.
So I walk back in there, and then I'm told, and I'm brutalized. I mean, this is just painful. Bob has got somebody else that he wants to bring in.
Oh, sweet
Fuck
Jesus.
that guy. Seriously.
Okay.
Wow.
So, I'm sitting trying to keep it together. I mean, here's my band playing with Bob Dylan, and I'm watching it now. This is like my worst nightmare. It's like a music nightmare. But all
Hey,
of a sudden,
real quick, Ryan. Hey, you guys on the radio in Raleigh, if you're listening and you're just tuning in, this is Ryan Hedgecock of Lone Justice and telling us inside studio stories about how Bob Dylan didn't like you.
exactly.
So now you're up to speed, Raleigh.
yeah. And I love you, Bob. I love you, man.
But let's go.
So I'm sitting in the back, and all of a sudden, well, Dylan's bringing his buddy in. So all of a sudden, the elevator rings again. It opens up. Who walks in? Ron Wood. I'm like, okay.
If you're gonna get replaced.
Okay, all right. And so then I spent the rest of the night watching Bob Dylan and Ron Wood play this song, and it was, amazing.
They let you hang out? They didn't call security? You didn't start throwing stuff?
Yeah,
Ryan,
fun.
can you get us some smokes, man?
Here's a 20. Disappear for an hour.
Yeah, can you get out of here? Yeah, so that's the Dylan story.
Awesome.
I don't think anyone has ever heard that one.
Oh, that's That's sad, man.
I mean, I got to tell you,
little bit sad.
being replaced by Ron Wood.
Well, that's true.
It was kind of like,
That's
okay,
true. Keith wasn't available.
Now, I don't want to.
yeah, where is Keith?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, Ron is on.
I don't want to keep poking at it, but
Go on.
did you when you left that studio that day, and your other members of the band were still? I mean,
Oh, I stuck around, and I just dealt with it. I mean, but at this point, you got to realize.
did you become his roadie?
yeah, not
Let me get that
Dylan's.
for you.
Not Dylan's.
We need a restring in here, Ryan. We need a restring.
I don't even think he would let me restring at that point.
Don't touch. Don't touch.
Get the hell out of here.
Oh man. Okay. So you had that happen.
Well, and this was, like, you got to realize at this point, this was just one of many series of things that took me out of my position of power. Because when Jimmy came in, he could not have me in the position of power that I was in to do what he wanted to do with Maria. So there was a series of moves and maneuvers that he did that were brilliant. I mean, brilliant. As I look back at it, they're brilliant moves. But that's how he basically separated Maria from the rest of us. And at that point, I had been under a lot of duress at that point. So that was just another thing that had happened.
Were you just like downing whiskey and doing blow and hooking up with hookers? Tell me that. At least you got something good out of it.
Yeah, and that's where he met Andy.
Yeah,
That's where Andy comes
that's
in.
how me and Andy were. Yeah. When I was doing the blow. and the hookers.
So this had to take you up to the late '80s, right? Or
Oh no. By the time '86 happened,
Right.
I was out of the band. I was 25, and I was washed up.
Wow.
I mean, it was over for me. Like
were
I
you
couldn't.
bitter or just like, oh fuck it?
My head was spinning. My head spun for years.
Okay.
Just to figure out exactly like how did this thing that I was so passionate about and so seemed to really connect with him, how did it turn so rotten? And I mean, and if you listen to the Vaught tapes, which is my original vision, and then you listen to Lone Justice, and then you listen to Shelter, you'll see where my whole thing lies,
Yeah.
By the time you listen to Shelter, you're like, what the hell? It sounds like the Simple Minds. Like that's
Yeah,
Jimmy's that was Jimmy's full on idea of what he thought was gonna sell at that point.
That's too bad.
And Maria was full on with him. She was just right there with him.
It's too bad.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like in the '86 or the upper '80s, lower '90s, I was hanging out with Robert Cray.
Oh, great guy.
Yeah, but I tell you what, he was so in charge of his thing that I saw Polygram coming in. I saw all these people, mix matching. He was like,
Yeah.
I'm Robert Cray.
Well, he'd been doing it for a long time too.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was my second band.
I got a great Robert Cray story.
No, we've already told that. We already told that. All right, so you're 25. Do you try to grab onto your? Are you still holding on to your dream? Do you grab another band?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I started doing stuff here in LA again. What I found was the scope of Lone Justice. It was so big that people could not see me outside. Like if I would make music and I'd play it for somebody, they'd say, "Oh, this is great. So what's Maria doing? Why don't you put the band back together?" So that was my life. So 1990, boom, I hightailed it. I moved to New York City, and I just reinvented myself in New York. I hooked up with a guy named Chris Seafried, who's a friend of mine now. I ended up hooking up with a woman named Joan Osborne. I helped her I helped her, get her thing together until she got with Rick Chertoff and did that first record. And then I put a band together there called Parlor James with Mose Allison's daughter, Amy Allison. And I kind of took off back where I was with Lone Justice. The Parlor James stuff is getting mounted now on Spotify. But it was, harmonies, me and Amy. Amy's she's a massive talent, amazing writer. She just got a cover on the last Emmylou Harris, Rodney Crowell record. So she's a big talent. And the two of us did Parlor James for probably about 5 or 6 years. Really fun.
Okay.
And that was in the 90s.
In New York.
In New York.
Yeah, and how did that name come about?
Oh, she had a dream. She had a dream. It just came to her. That's exactly
Parlor James, right?
Parlor James, yeah.
And what was happening with, not to harp on the other one, but
Get back to Maria.
at this time, is anything going on with Jimmy and Maria? I mean,
well, I think Jimmy and Maria had big plans. I mean, when I left Lone Justice, what it felt like I had done is I had just delivered the new Barbra Streisand to the world. That was what my,
would she see it that way?
I don't know how she'd see it, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like you said a couple of times, I pushed her to the front of the stage. Do you think she would recount that same story? The same
be
way.
grateful?
Like,
Would
what
she be
would she?
thanking you?
How would she view that time?
I can't really tell you for her. I really don't. I don't know how she views it. I've tried to talk with her, and it doesn't really come out that well.
Interesting.
I mean,
That's too bad.
yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of chances to kind of go back and do it again, and it's something that she's never interested in doing. So, that's just kind of how.
That was another heartbreaker when she said no to redoing those tapes.
Yeah.
And that was just 2 years
Too
ago.
bad.
Yeah, no, that was a couple of years ago, and that was really the last time any of us had contact.
But the Vaught tapes are available to be seen, right?
Oh yeah, no, they're
if you go to
seen, it's
YouTube,
great.
right?
Yeah, you go.
A lot of people, a lot of viewers.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, you can see all of our stuff from the Palomino. There's a bunch of stuff that's posted when we were playing. At the
How much
Palomino.
fun was a Palomino?
Oh my God!
I had that shit on all day, man.
That's such a such a great place.
The only thing that was sucked about the Palomino was so far away from the beach. North.
No,
North
it's close to
Hollywood?
Malibu. It's close to Malibu.
Yeah.
It's just over the hill.
Yeah. Did you ever run into that local band out here called the Gila Monsters?
The Gila Monsters? I heard of them.
Yeah. What about the Zoo People?
No.
You heard the Gila Monsters?
Boxing Gandhis.
The Gila Monsters at one
Boxing
time.
Gandhis, yes.
Boxing Gandhis.
There you go.
Do you know Gary Pavliga, the drummer?
No, but I know them. A buddy of mine is friends with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Just talking about.
What music you listening to now?
I've been on a Willie Nelson kick. Really? I cannot get off of Willie. He's killing me. I mean, because of Spotify, you can get back into his deep catalog, and his catalog is amazing. It's hard to kind of find new things that excite me. I love this girl, Casey Musgraves. Oh yeah. I think that she's the real deal. She's a full package. She's a great singer, great lyrics. She's got it all.
Are you still wanting to pay like a high dollar ticket to see someone?
Me?
Or are you burnt out on the music scene where I'll see him in a smaller venue? Or
I went to see Willie.
See
Willie.
Yeah.
I like the small venues. But I still just play. I mean, that's still what I do. I've never stopped. And I continue to push the boundaries with country music. Like I reinvented myself a few years back as Rattlesnake Daddy. I did this thing with all these samplers, and I was doing country music, and it was this kind of like breaking down the fourth wall about the audience coming up with me, and that's how Dennis and Leslie got together. Dennis was my
were you button pusher?
Yeah, I'm the button pusher. I'm the button man. All right, I'm the button. No, Dennis was playing percussion. Yeah, it was percussion and didgeridoo and me.
What's Dennis do?
Dennis?
Yeah.
Well, he's a percussion player with me. He works in the film business.
Oh, I know what he does for a living, but I was wondering what he was doing in the band.
Yeah, that's what he was doing. He was like my emissary. He would play percussion, and then somebody would come and they would be like excited, and you could see something, and then he would have instruments, and he would just come invite them on stage, give them, and pretty soon we would have like 10, 20 people on stage with us.
That's cool.
Playing. It was great fun. We did it in a club called Cranes in Hollywood. Had a blast.
Isn't Rattlesnake Daddy a song?
Yes.
Andy?
Yeah,
It is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In
A
fact, it was
cool
a song
tune,
that
man.
I did with Lone Justice. We changed it to Rattlesnake Mama.
Oh, nice.
So I took it back. It was Rattlesnake Daddy. 'Cause I had to take it back.
Okay, you got the right to put a band together.
Yeah.
Who's in your band? As big as that,
Alive? Gotta be alive.
alive people.
All right.
If you wanted to Springsteen, no limit. Anybody you want.
Well, right now I'm into this whole like psychedelic Western thing. Like I have this idea that I want to make this record called Lost Songs of LA. So this is kind of where I'm at right now. Who I would have in it, and my buddy Chris, who I sing with, and we write songs together. We have a great connection.
Well, I'm talking about like a celebrity type that we all would know.
You know what? For me, it's really about like hooking up with people that have that passion. Because I don't know this.
Paul Bushnell,
Who's he?
bass player for
everybody.
everybody.
I mean, for me, my favorite band is like the Stones via Sticky Fingers. That time,
that's
you
me.
know. To me,
Yep,
like
yep.
for me, it's 4 records with the Stones: Exile, Sticky Fingers, Let It Bleed, Beggar's Banquet. To
Oh,
me,
really?
define that. That band.
Yeah.
I'd love to make that band play country. That's what I love.
What would you do if like you grabbed like Bob Weir?
Bob Weir, I love Bob Weir. Come on,
Would you have him in your band?
absolutely. Why not?
What about a
I mean,
Chunky
look at
B
what
on
you
harmonica?
Yeah. What about me if I was blowing on the harp?
If you were
Out of
blowing,
key
absolutely.
with a blown note right smack in the middle of it.
You're perfect for Rattlesnake Daddy. I'll get you up there, man.
Are you gonna be anywhere? Are you? I know you and Dennis you're talking, but
Yeah,
can we
no,
go to
we're-
a club?
No, nothing right now. But yeah, we're getting ready to come out of the hole. We're getting ready to
All right.
be reborn. Be reborn.
Well, I tell you what, I love the fact that you shared that story. I love the fact that I will never think of Dylan the same way. Yeah.
But you know what? At the end of it, I respected the guy. I mean, as a songwriter, to see him up close and see what he did. Yeah, it was a drag.
Do you
But, hey.
you watch like vinyl?
I haven't. I saw one episode of it.
Is it ridiculous to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched it.
I mean, you lived through it, and I just
did.
wonder, like,
Well,
I hear somebody.
Those guys are always bigger. The
different
guys in the music business were always much bigger rock stars than I was.
Isn't
They
that
were
interesting?
always. Their heads were much bigger. They were always. It was always like, oh God,
Right.
And a lot of musicians feel that way. They were always bigger celebrities than any of us.
Interesting.
did you participate at all at that Bergamot Station? It was a museum show, but they had a rock concert at that show.
No,
It was about 8 years ago, I gotta say. But they had everybody. They had X. They had Devo.
Wow,
Nice.
Devo was in there. They had Rick L. Rick, the Hands, Alice Bags.
You even know Rick and Rick. I can't believe that.
I hung briefly with Rick L. Rick before he died.
And he's a man.
Dude,
He's our Baba Booey.
There was I used to be a photographer, but I'm telling you, this was one of those amazing shows that I'm like, because I was 17 when you broke up
Right. Okay.
with Lone Justice.
Did it hurt for a little while?
My heart, my 17-year-old heart is hurting
Oh,
right
no,
now.
I'm sorry.
Hearing the darkness that was going
Oh,
on.
you haven't heard nothing.
When I,
This is the G-rated stuff. You haven't heard nothing.
Let's dive deeper.
I was gonna say, but
Yeah, let's. What's the weirdest thing that happened to you backstage or one of your concerts?
Yeah, give us a backstage
Come on,
story.
give me something.
Backstage. Well, come on,
Okay.
remember she's a born-again Christian.
Yeah, but
Everything goes right.
not with her, with anybody else or whatever. How was the rest of the band? Were they all whack, or were you guys just sort of
They were pretty whack. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
no married guys? No.
No. I mean, things got pretty dark at the end of the first tour, because we went out with U2, and then in the middle of that tour, we came back. We went out with Petty. In the middle of going out with Petty, Marvin, who had been an integral part of the band, quit. And so we came back to LA and we did some more auditions, and we were continuing to support the first record. So then we went on a college tour, and tension was high, and things got really intense. Some people were drinking a little more than they should. I'm sure there was some drugs being done. We ended up starting a riot in Miami.
How do you start a riot?
Good place to start one.
you know, somebody threw something at one other guy, you
gotcha.
know. But no, I'll tell you. Here's a fun story.
All right, here we go.
We went to England for the first time. Okay, this is on our own. We had just opened for U2, and now we're going to England. We're doing a club tour. We're going to do England. We're doing Germany, Paris, Amsterdam, all these places. So
That's
we're going.
Europe, chunk.
Yeah.
I've heard of these places.
Yeah. So they hire this guy, Jed, and he's going to do all of our TV promo for us. And he's known as kind of a jokester. He's worked for a lot of people. And the first thing that happens, we land in Heathrow, and I'm trying to deal with jet lag, and I get a phone call, and it's this guy, hello. We have a couple of birds we'd like to send up to your room. And I'm like, what? He goes, yes, courtesy of Geffen. And I'm thinking, what? You know, and, okay,
Did you know
fine.
birds meant women at the time?
Yeah, kind of knew, but you know, I'm like,
Oh, we've got a couple ostriches.
I got a cockatiel.
A cockatoo.
so I go, okay, whatever. Well, the next day, nothing happens. So the next day, I meet this guy, Jed, and we all go out to dinner. And we're out in some little restaurant in London. And it comes out that he was the one who called, oh, did you hear my joke? Oh, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, funny. So he starts to do these things as we're sitting down and eating. And he says, oh, would you like to hear, do you need some silverware? And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And in the process, he's taking his pants off. So in this restaurant, he said, let me get you some silverware. He stands up, and now he's just in his underwear, and he's walking through the restaurant, like trying to embarrass us. And at this point, we had this guy, Tony Gilkison, in our band, who went on to play with X. Tony was a real prankster. We had been playing pranks on each other for a little bit, so we had cigarette loads. You guys know what those are?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the girl, Sarah, sitting next to me, she was giving this guy, Jed, cigarettes. And so after he had done that, I thought, okay, here. I said, Sarah, give me a cigarette. So she gives me one, and I empty it out, and I put 2 loads in it, pack it back. I said, next time he asks for a cigarette, give him this one. So she gives it to him. Blows him up. Freaks him out. He's all freaked out. So the next day, you know, because this guy's a real joker, the next day, we put his car up for sale. So we take his Mercedes, we price it, you know, just a little under what the going price was, and we
get
put
some action.
all of his phone numbers, his, you know, every number that he had. And then we take off. So he's pissed. You know, we've done this to him. So now we go off all over Europe, and now we're back, and we're going to play the Marquee. Like, this is a big club in London. You know, the Stones have played there, and Dave Stewart's going to come down, and Adam, the guy from U2, is going to jump in with us. So it's a big night, you know. And we're at this hotel, and all of a sudden we get this interview. And this guy comes, and this guy is all dressed in leather, and he's super derogatory towards us, and he's asking us all if we're gay, and just, you know, being really aggressive. And I'm like, okay, this is as good as you can do, Jed, huh? This is it, huh? You can't do any better than this, you know? So that's it. And we're thinking, oh, what a jerk. You know, he couldn't do anything. So I'm sitting down at dinner, and we got about an hour until the show starts, and our road manager comes up, and he says, hey, there's a couple of guys here who sell guitars to all of them. They sell them to Jeff Beck, they sell them to Keith Richards. They're collectors. They got some great stuff. Are you guys interested? Me and Tony, the guitar player, we're like, absolutely. He goes, well, just come on up to their room. So they take us, and we go up to their room. We walk into this hotel room. Tons of guitars, beautiful guitars, like, you know, broadcasters, SGs, you know, gorgeous old, you know, beautiful guitars, tons of them. And we're looking at them, and they're like, do you have anything else you want? And I'm like, well, I'm looking for this type of guitar. And they're like, I got one down in the van. I said, oh, really? And they asked my friend Tony, and he sells another one. They go, well, you know what? I think we might have something. Let's go check. You guys will be okay here? We'll go down. So these guys leave. And so me and Tony are sitting in this room full of all these guitars.
Oh, Lord.
There's a knock at the door. Boom, 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 boom. The door opens up. 2 bobbies, fully dressed, walkie-talkies blaring, come in. These are stolen merchandise. What in the hell are you doing here? We get handcuffed. Me and Tony get handcuffed to a radiator. I'm saying to the guys, you guys know Jed, you guys know it. Tony's like, shut up. And they, okay, oh, we think we got him. And then they leave, and they take off.
Are you still cuffed, or did they uncuff you by this?
No, I'm cuffed to a radiator in London.
Oh, my
I got to
God.
be at the Marquee in a half hour for sound check. And so we're sitting there and kind of sweating and trying to figure it out. And I don't know whether to laugh or to cry. I don't know what to do. And then there's another knock at the door. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Door opens up. And there's Jed. He's got the keys on his finger. He's got the Bobby's hat. He got the guitars. He hired actors to play these bobbies.
Oh my God.
He went to the nth degree to set us up.
That's a good one though.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, it got written up in a book. But then he took it to the next level. As we left, he called a bomb threat in on our plane.
No way.
He'd be doing time if he tried to do that now.
Now he would.
Yeah. I was just gonna bust out like my little backstage story with Craig. He's got nothing to do with the whole setup.
I got one too.
No, you don't.
Go. Let's hear him.
No, you don't.
I got a great.
No.
stuff.
It was a simple one. We're up in Seattle, right? And Dr. John was opening up for Robert Cray.
Whoa.
Yeah. And they had these ribs shipped in from maybe even North Carolina. I don't know. But
Raleigh.
it came in, and there was a big vat of them. And the lighting guy that I used to hang with for Robert Cray was like, these ribs are so good. The band gets up on stage, and they're like, oh, God. Before, we were all in the backstage going, all right, we're going to eat this right after the show, They get on stage. I take one rib. Just like, I take another rib. The lighting guy's ribbing. And all of a sudden, out of like 3 racks, there's like a half a rack left.
Oh.
And the gig ended. They came back, and I'm just cleaning up. No, dude, I just got 1 or 2. and Cray's all bummed out. The band's all bummed out. They're all, And they're like, what happened? I'm like, dude, you're not going to believe this. Dr. John sat right here and wouldn't stop, man. He was like eating them like they were popcorn. And no one wanted to go up to Dr. John and bust his balls about it, right? So we never said anything. And must have been 17 years later, we had Richard Cousins sitting right where you are, the bass player for Robert Cray. And he remembers the story vividly, still holding the grudge about it. And I confessed, like 17 years later, dude, I ate your ribs, and he was still mad. He was like, what the? Yeah.
Classic.
Oh yeah, man, that was I was like the little kid running around with Cray. I was like 23 or 24, and he was making "Don't Be Afraid of the Dark," that album, and he was renting a house in Bel Air and cutting that album. And I'm proud to say that I'm the very last name under special thanks.
All right on.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm on an
Chunky,
album.
That's right.
It's basically a participation trophy.
I mean, I should go see him play at
He's coming
Club
in
Lingerie.
June.
He was amazing.
That's cool.
back
Let's
then.
go, Chunk.
I'm getting a.
Bring him some ribs.
I gotta do something.
You
I
gotta
gotta
do
make
something
up.
good for him. Yeah.
But you know something? Richard Cousins, the bass player, dear friend and great guy, he got me back. My wife is pregnant, ready to have a child. I'm driving her car. My car's at home. Richard calls and says, "Can I borrow your car?" 10 minutes later, he calls back and goes, "I just totaled it." Oh. He totaled my car as we were going to Lamaze class. It was like the last one. Nancy was due like a week later, and we had to leave. The stress, the whole thing. Airbags came out, and he's like, "Dude, don't worry. I hid the pipe. The cops didn't see that." I'm like, "Hey, what? I didn't have a pipe in there." He's like, "Oh, that was mine. That was mine." Yeah. So about a year later, after that incident, I'm having a crawfish boil here at the house, and Ivan Neville.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. He's here, and I'm like, "Yeah, I hang out. I know Cray Band really well." He's like, "Oh, you know Richard Cousins?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, you hear that story? He totaled somebody's car last year." I'm like, "Dude, that was my car." He's like, "That was your car." Yeah.
Yeah, he was living out here for a little while, right?
Yep. He's living out here. That's
Like in the late 80s.
Yeah. And from what the situation was, he's in a way better place now.
Good.
I was on the Jam Cruise.
Okay.
I was on the Jam Cruise, and he was playing. He's like the owner of the freaking boat.
Good for him.
He's like everywhere. I swear, there's like maybe 7 different places on this Jam Cruise ship that goes out of Fort Lauderdale. We were going down to Belize, and he was like, I would see him on stage, run over downstairs to the next venue, and there he is on that stage. I think there was like 4 Ivan Neville's.
Yeah, it sounds like heaven to me.
Yeah.
Sounds
yeah,
like
yeah.
heaven just playing.
Hey, do you think rock and roll will ever make a resurgence? Because it feels like it's hit a plateau, if not going the wrong way.
Well, I mean, I think you got to look at the past and look at jazz. You know, look what happened to jazz. It's like they took jazz all the way to where Coltrane and Ornette Coleman had kind of lost the melody, and it was just space, and it kind of lost people. And at that point, then jazz kind of folded in on itself and just became a lot of different genres. Dixieland, post-bop, you know, and there was no cutting edge of jazz anymore. There's no cutting edge of rock anymore. You know, it was like the last cutting edge of rock, I would say, would be maybe the trip hop of the 90s. You know, I don't really consider like hip hop part of rock. It's a little different, you know. So, you know, maybe Nirvana and then maybe trip hop. And now there's really nothing to say anymore.
Who's rocking out there? Who's really like rock and
Man,
roll?
who's doing something
that's
new?
young?
Who's doing something new that's innovative with it? It's, you know, it's everything.
My
seems-
16-year-old listens to Zeppelin. You know,
Yeah.
he listens to everything in the 70s.
And my daughter's the same way.
Yeah.
She listens. I mean, she got a band called Fiddler that she likes down in Orange County, that are the sons of TSOL. You know, and they're good. They're kind of like a surf version of the Ramones.
My daughter right now is at a band called Front Bottoms.
Yeah, Front Bottom's good, man. They
I
were
haven't
at
heard them. I gotta
Coachella.
listen to
Yeah.
Yeah, she's downtown right now, L.A.
Front Bottom's really good.
Where at?
Oh God,
You know, I was lucky enough to see the Ramones and X down in San Diego.
were you really?
Yeah, it was an amazing show.
I bet.
It was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I saw the Ramones at the Cuckoo's Nest in Huntington Beach. It was amazing.
You know what
my ears bled.
I regret to this day, and I had the ticket in my hand, and I was prepared to go, and me and my buddy were like, we're fighting over this ticket. I'm like, okay, dude, here, you got it, you go. The Who, Cincinnati, like 7 people died.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and, yeah. And my buddy made it, right, and he came back the next day and said it was so jam packed. There was bodies so crunched up against him. He was holding his like ribs, and he lifted up his feet, and the crowd just carried him. He said
not
there was
good.
thousands of shoes everywhere.
Oh yeah, not good.
I could have been there.
Yeah,
man.
I could be better that you're
That's
watching.
good.
Might be
You
better
know,
that
I would
you-
be the
'cause you
freaking
might not
human
be here.
speed bump. Oh, there's Chunky. Get him.
Chunky number 8.
Yeah. But I was, I've seen some good shows, and then I did the Grateful Dead thing for a while.
Yeah, no, I was a big Deadhead. I mean, here growing up in the 70s, at a certain point, it became corporate rock. It was like Styx,
Journey.
Foreigner, Journey,
Foghat.
REO. It was like, it drove me insane.
Blue Oyster Cult. Give me a break,
Yeah,
man.
no, all of
I want to shoot myself in the face.
Oyster Cult.
Come
No.
on, Fear the Reaper.
Yes.
Fear the Reaper.
Seriously.
Yeah. Not
Blue Oyster
good.
Cult is okay.
No.
Bad Company?
Better than Blue Oyster Cult. for
Till
God's
the
sake.
day
Well,
you
Bad
die.
Company were like Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were kind of.
Yeah.
No, but I got into the Dead, and I think I the first time I saw the Dead was 77. And I followed them for about 3 or 4 years. I loved them.
I'd never even heard of a song by the Grateful Dead until I got to college. And then once my buddy Tripp,
Great
just
name.
was like, okay, you're going to your first show. And I was like, whoa, wow. So I saw 140 shows before Jerry died.
Wow. Wow.
Good times.
Oh.
You know something? We were talking about today's music, and I've got no problem saying that I dig Bruno Mars.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
All right.
all good.
Okay.
You know that Uptown Funk thing he's got going?
You like that?
Yeah, I do like that. Yeah, and I like this Justin Timberlake that's got this drinking song.
I can't go with any of these.
Why? You need to expand.
I don't know. I miss the Rolling Stones. I miss all
No, I'll
that.
tell you what. A lot of that stuff's coming back. In our studio, we stream KUTX out of Austin.
Oh,
Is that
nice.
right?
That's a good station.
Stellar station.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And they throw it. They have like Shaky Graves. They'll play old Hank. You know.
Nice.
That's what I love.
Back and
I love
forth.
eclectic.
And then they'll throw a Beck song in there.
Right.
Right on.
I think
Well, hey,
that's-
listen,
that's
Ryan.
Yes, Chunky.
You know something? I'm trying to like do this like end of the show kind of thing.
Right.
And I think we did it maybe once, but I'm gonna bust it out right now. Ryan, if the world was listening, what would you say? That's deep.
Oh, that's goodness.
Are we gonna end on that?
Yeah. We're gonna wrap it up. Right
You really
after.
want to know what I would say?
Yeah, if the world was listening.
Climate change is a reality.
All right, there you go.
What was that?
Climate
heard me.
change is real. Now, no one in North Carolina is going to believe that.
Sorry, people.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hedgecock, Ryan from the band that almost took over the planet, Lone Justice.
Yes.
Thank you for being in the Garage of Love.
Let me just say this, Chunky. I think justice has been served.
Thank you.
Okay, justice has been served.
Finally, thank you. Eric, that was perfect.
Judge Wapner coming out. Old school.
Or Judge Judy
You kids-
here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Great
you guys,
guest, man. Good
Yes,
job,
Ryan.
Chunk.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you,
can
guys. It was
find
great
all
fun.
his stuff on YouTube, and you could go back to and listen to some of his really, really good stuff. And Maria, if you're out there, you.
No.
Come on with Chunky B.
Oh,
No way.
Why not?
No,
God,
I think
why
we
not?
would like her on the show
Maybe not.
to at least, you know.
No
let's-
way. I'm sticking with my man.
explain it all.
Yeah, we're
Chunk,
sticking
you
with
got-
him until he walks out the door, and then we want Maria to come in
Don't
here.
go Dylan on him. Do not go Dylan on him.
Come on, haven't
Hang
I
on,
had
let me
enough?
talk about this. So anyway, I think we should end the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1 degree of Chunky B in the Garage of Love, ChunkyB.tv. Thank you for letting us grow with you. And if you want us to do anything, you want us to try to find somebody to interview that's within our realm, please don't hesitate to communicate with
Yeah.
us. Hit us up on the website.
Hit us up on iTunes and like us.
And like us.
Yeah.
And say something to me, because I'll talk back. We will communicate.
Yeah.
We'll have a dialogue, something.
Yeah, and come on in and be the guy on the couch or girl on the couch. We haven't had a girl yet.
You
Let's
know
have a girl on the
something? And
couch.
here's the deal.
Oh, we have actually.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah, Heath Evans' daughter.
Yes. Hey, you guys, thanks so much. This is 1 degree of Chunky B. Once again, Ryan Hedgecock. What a great guest. What a great storyteller. And I swear to God, mandatory group hug right after this thing is done. We are done. Thank you guys so much.